You're bound to have heard of David Goggins, the man, the legend, the utter machine. Just look at his incredible, unbelievable life, and you'll see exactly what I mean. He's got many impressive military accolades, and was once the world pull-up king. He's gone from super obese teenager to a body fat of nearly nothing. He's run some of the planet's toughest races, even with a foot full of broken bones. He just wraps them up in duct tape and keeps on going. He never moans. There's a thing called the 40% rule, which Mr. Goggins often quotes, although I think it might actually be the central governor theory by Noakes. Anyway, the rule goes a little something like this. When you're utterly spent and broke on your run, you should laugh in the face of that feeling, as you're actually only 40% done. So bearing this crazy rule in mind, I decided I should try it out for real and signed up for a local ultramarathon to try and figure out what's the deal. Now this one wasn't really a beast, like the Moab, which is 240 miles. It was only a 50-kilometre one, which I hoped to finish with some smiles. So at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning with 200 other crazy folk, I started running along coastal trails, hoping to get to the end without a choke. It was clear right from the word go that I was one of the slowest runners there. I can blame ineffectual training, but being overweight was what really made things unfair. Nonetheless, I ploughed along the paths. Very soon I was jogging on my own, and the rain briefly turned to sunshine, now sweating as well as soaked to the bone. 20 or so kilometres in, things were not great, but then a pal turned up to run for a bit. He did his best to run slowly, but he's about 6'5" and extremely fit. It did keep my mind off the exertion, and I was thankful for the chat, but after he left me, I was right back to battling gravity and my surplus fat. At 25 kilometres, I'd gone halfway. I was miserable and hurting and very much done. I'd made my peace with the aid station approaching. Then on the beach, I saw my daughter and son. I was in a really dark place then, torn between the immense guilt of giving in and proving to my wife and kids that somewhere I had more grit deep within. The cut-off time here was 3.5, but I crossed the mat in 3:28, and I'd promised myself if I was under that time, I'd keep going to the end. Oh, great. And this was when the learning began, with more discomfort than I'd felt in ages. When you think you're at the end of your story, there's still 60% more pages. So I left the family behind, as well as the small aid station support crowd, and stepped back onto the sandy beach, running but shouting, "Come on!" out loud. The beach became a vertical trail up and around a hill called the Law, trying positive self-talk despite all the pain, distractions coming from the scenery I saw. And this is how it went for miles, me alone dealing with the ups and downs, with the topography and also my mood, undulating paths of mud, smiles and frowns. At one point, the officials wanted me to quit. They said time was ticking and I just wasn't fast. I said to them, if they pulled me out, they'd make the person in front of me last. Soon the pain became a little less, although the mud got more and more, and at points I still wanted to lie down amongst the 400 footprints on the floor. But as I came down a forest trail, out onto a lonely country lane, my wife and kids were standing there, and I felt joy, but also guilt and shame. How could I throw in the towel? What message would that send? So after some rejuvenating cuddles, I picked up the pace and soldiered to the end. Finally, I could see the finish line, marking the end of this dreary lesson, I wanted to get under 8 hours and I crossed the line in 7:57. Yes, I came in absolutely last place, but the likes of David Goggins got me through, and if a tubby old man like me can do it, then I believe anyone can do this too. I learnt a lot on that horrible ordeal. Like, adversity can be shaped like a U. And when things seem to be at their worst, the bottom of the curve is where you'll find you. And once you become aware of this, despite the difficulties ongoing still, there may be a finish line ahead of you, just on the other side of that hill.